professional. Oh, we're not going to go there. Grizzlies star John Morant told Shaq on TNT that he thinks he's a top 5 point guard in the NBA. Simple as that. The point guard position in the association loaded with talent, including Chris Paul, who turns 36 years young today. Happy birthday to him. So that got us thinking, who are the top 5 point guards in the NBA? Stephen A., you know I love a good list. Especially Steven's A list. I know this isn't one, so I'm not going to get all the hoopla.
Nope.
I prefer you to be standing the whole thing, but I'll let you sit this
Why?
time.
Right. Well, first of all, I'm not picking LeBron James. I'm not picking LeBron James because I'm not picking forwards for this list. I don't give a damn.
That's good, because Max said he's on the decline yesterday. You missed that, too.
Oh, God. Here's the deal. I got Luka at number 5, averaging 28, 9, and 8. I've got CP3 at number 4.
You're going too fast. Luka 5.
Luka 5. Yep. CP3, number 4.
Okay.
Damian Lillard, number 3.
Okay.
James Harden, number 2.
Okay.
All right, because we ignoring injuries and all of that stuff. We just talk about what we've seen from people this season. Mm-hmm. And obviously Steph Curry, number 1.
Well, number 5, I'll put CP3. I think he's number 4. I have Dame, and Steph has to be above Dame because Dame has, carried a big load this year, started to tail off. Steph stayed hot. James Harden is as good a point guard as has ever existed this year until he got hurt. He was already great. He took his game to another level. And the reason I do have LeBron James, even if he says he's in decline, even a LeBron in decline is better than everyone else. Maybe. But they're going to have to prove it in the playoffs. Harden will have to prove it in the playoffs to have me put him ahead of LeBron. Mm-hmm. Here's why I put LeBron on and not Luka, Stephen A. You said you're not going to include forwards. Luka's a forward. Because I'm taking guys who initiate the offense, who are the primary ball handlers, playmakers, and who guard the other teams, at least one player in the other team's backcourt. LeBron, I've seen shut down a prime D Rose as an MVP.
For a player, too.
No, I've seen LeBron shut down elite guards in playoff games. That's not Luka. Now, Harden's not a great defender, but he does defend guards. Everyone on my list defends backcourt players routinely, initiates their offense, and is the primary ball handler playmaker. I think LeBron James is not only the greatest point guard today, but in fact, he is the guy who has replaced Magic as the greatest point guard of all time. If you're making your all-time list, you put LeBron at the point.
Well, listen, if you're doing that, I'm not going to knock you for that. I understand it. It's just that when they were looking after they lost Ronda, they went out and they got Dennis Schroeder for a reason. You understand? Because he's essentially your point guard and somebody to take the pressure off LeBron when you don't want LeBron hampered with those obligations all the time. Whereas when you look at Rick Carlisle in Dallas, he said, I came to my senses when I interviewed him and asked him this question. He said, what the hell were we doing, Luka's rookie year? What were we doing that was wrong? We didn't put the ball in his hands and let him run our team. He's our point guard, his exact words. And so when I look at it from that perspective, that's the only reason I don't have LeBron on the list. That's it. Yep. Okay. I look at James Harden. He's a scorer. Remember, Kyrie's supposed to be a point guard, but he's your off guard this year because James Harden is a point guard. So you see what I'm saying? We understand it. So again, we know who the talent is and we know what they do. But I'm just talking about in terms of this year, what you're seeing from people who actually are listed as playing the position and running the offense, both, not just running the offense, but playing the position and running the offense. You designate them as your point guard. Steph Curry is the greatest shooter God ever created. And because he's such a marksman, combined with his extraordinary movement without the ball, combined with his ball handling skills, Allen Iverson, Matt Kellerman, called me the other morning at 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock in the morning.
AI doing up to 8 in the morning.
You'd be surprised. My brother's doing all right. But let me tell you this right now. He gets up. He said, Steph is different. he was all stuttering there. Steph is different. He's just different. I mean, damn. Because that's how you marvel at the greatness of this dude. He loves, remember, AI loves Russell Westbrook. But we're seeing something. This is we talk about once in a generation. We have never, ever seen a Steph Curry. Ever.
But guys,
ever. We have never seen it. And then you got Dame, and we know what a clutch player Dame is, and James Harden, Luka, CP3 is having an MVP, top 2 MVP candidate caliber year.
I don't agree with that.
So I don't know how you can't agree with that.
Top 5, arguably top 3. Look, I'll say this. You're giving Harden the short shrift here. Harden does not shoot it like Steph, as you said. No one in history ever shot it like Steph.
Right.
And Harden has fallen flat deep in the playoffs too often. But right up until that point, Harden has been MVP caliber every single year. And unlike Steph, he's the one dude this year. Tell me even one other player who ever lived who can run your offense like Harden, who has the court vision of Harden, the judgment of James Harden, the passing ability of James Harden with the ability to score from anywhere, get to the paint, free throws, three-point shot. Tell me one other player who does every single thing on Harden level. If he had succeeded already deep in the playoffs, it would be a wrap. But as is, Stephen A., I think that Steph Curry's shooting does not. James Harden took a much inferior team and came that close to beating Steph Game 7.
Stay with me, because I want to be very, very careful about what I'm saying here. Because I'm not you. I believe in James Harden. You like him, and you like what you've seen, but you point out what he's done in the playoffs. Right. I'm not as hard about him in the playoffs the way that you are, because I've seen what he's been up against, and I didn't see him completely tank and fall apart. Only one year when he didn't show up in the Game 6 against San Antonio. Having said all of that, this is what I would tell you. Max Kellerman, I watched Brooklyn. And to watch the game today and what they record as an assist. I mean, I've seen them give dudes assists. I pass it to Max. Max passes it to Molly, and Molly shoots and scores, and I get the assist. But you're the one that passed it to her. Mm-hmm. You're like, what is this?
Hockey assist.
And then you see them playing, just toying with competition. Because I've seen James Harden get assists when all he did was dribble the ball past half court and throw it to one wing or the other.
Well, and Russell Westbrook's crushing it with the assist.
I'm with you, but his team was winning. His team was winning when it was just him and KD. His team was winning when it was just him.
Well, he's up there. That's why I got him as 2.
His team was winning when it was just him.
I got him
no
as 2.
matter who they were playing. And as soon as he's out and it's KD,
I got him as 2.
He needs to come back.
I got him as 2. I just gave you why he ain't won. That's Steph Curry.
LeBron for me.
We'll leave it there. When we come back here on First Take, it appears Aaron Rodgers spoken out about that.
Let me say this.
Yeah.
I grew up surrounded by Muslim brothers. Mm-hmm. Half of them raised me. Half of my boys that assisted my family in raising me are Muslim.
Yeah.
They still my boys to this very day. I'm very, very familiar with what's going on with Kyrie Irving. I'm not going to talk about his business. That's his business. I know what's rolling with him in that regard, and Steven Jackson and various others that are really, really tight with him. I know what's going on with a whole bunch of brothers in the league. And that's for them to tell, not me. And they're not of the league. What I'm saying is that you signed up for something. Your obligations that you embraced, you have an obligation to live up to and conduct yourself in fashion. And then when we bring in faith and when we bring in religion, we certainly don't endorse looking down on other people, calling them pawns, minimizing them in such a way because they don't think like you think. The reality is that what Max said about basketball and how most people wouldn't care about what Kyrie has to say is absolutely correct. That's not a knock against Kyrie. They wouldn't care about what I had to say if I wasn't on ESPN. They wouldn't care about what Max had to say if he wasn't on ESPN and doing. They wouldn't care about a lot. They wouldn't care about LeBron. So it's not a knock against him. But the point is that along the way, as you march in your faith, in your truth, in your belief, and all of those other things, it's imperative that you don't forget what your obligations are, particularly when they are voluntary. We saw this man.
But it appears the team's okay with it.
I understand that, but they could be okay with it. What they going to say? They signed him $141 million. They ain't going to say, and not only that, he's Kevin Durant's boy, and the sun shines and sets with Kevin Durant in Brooklyn. Anything he wants, he's going to get. So let's understand, that could all be smoke and mirrors. But in the end, Molly, what you're talking about is, if you have signed up for these obligations, the man was off for 9 months, played 3 weeks, and said, I just needed a break.
Stephen A., I want to talk to that right now.
I'm just saying, at a time,
that because he's struggling, right? Why would you take all that time off if you're not dealing with big things?
I'm not saying that he wasn't struggling. I'm not even minimizing it.
Yeah.
I'm saying that you can't expect people out here, when tens of millions of people lost their jobs, They've been furloughed. They've been laid off. They haven't gotten their jobs back. There's a global pandemic. People are dying. And his heart's in the right place because he cares about those people. He cares about all of that. And his philanthropy is not to be questioned because Kyrie gives and Kyrie cares. My point is, when those people are struggling, if you're struggling, the attitude for the viewing public that ultimately helps pay you because they patronize the NBA brand, they're saying, we got to go to work. You got to go to work. You got to go to work.
You always say that superstars should receive different treatment, and if this allows him to be if this allows him to have peace and be a better man and be a better teammate, so be it. What does that have to do with other people not getting paid?
Because, Molly, he's not showing up to work and doing his job. How many times has he had off? And then not only that, part of your responsibility is to promote the brand. Why would the NBA fine them? Because they're saying, excuse me, you have a job to do that you're not doing.
I totally understand what you're saying.
That's the whole point.
Because that is part of his job. But it just seems like he's worked something out with the team, and they accept where he is.
I'd like to say something real quick. When I say struggling, that doesn't mean someone's bad. It means they're dealing with things in their life. It could be internal with them. It could be with their family, whatever.
Everyone's dealing with stuff.
Right? So when people go through those times, you talk about faith.
Yeah.
I can think of athletes who, it can be a faith, it can be a cause. Those two things can be related. But when something is larger than oneself, and they can attach themselves to it, then they're capable sometimes of doing more than they could do if they feel like it's all them on their own. And what I'm trying to say about Kyrie right now is, rather than focus on the negative, which is he said some things that I felt were immature and that kind of puffed him up and tried to put others down.
The Pons comment wasn't good.
But not just that, but also we move different and all this kind of stuff. Instead of focusing on that, I want to focus on the other thing where hopefully the fine money goes to good. It seems to me he's still in a situation where he is struggling and he's trying, and I appreciate that.
Fair enough. If you think for 1 second that the Brooklyn Nets don't sit back sometimes scratching their heads at practices, at some of the stuff the media complains about. I'm not covering the team, so I'm not complaining about them. But talk to the people that cover the Nets, okay, and hear what they say. If you think for 1 second that the Brooklyn Nets are okay with that, I got news for you. They're not. It's just that, again, in today's day